Welcome. Let me get through the details with you right now. Well, there have been many responses to our campaign that's aimed at finishing an uncompleted mother and baby unit at the Kofuanochi Teaching Hospital. In a documentary set, Kwame Boateng brings home the gruesome pain and torment of both doctors and mothers who live the realities of the fear of being next to die. The Christian Council today will add their voice to this campaign as we also engage women and children advocacy group Hope for Future Generation on this matter. But first, the Multimedia Group, led by the group COO, Santok Singh, yesterday presented a copy of the documentary Next to Die to the first and second ladies of the country. I'm talking about Madam Rebecca Akufo-Addo and Samira Baumia. They pledged to join in this campaign. Here are excerpts from that meeting last night.
This is a copy of a documentary which was produced by Kwame Boateng with regards to the situation in Kofuanochi Hospital in Kumasi, whereby, in fact, he chanced upon this situation because he was doing a documentary on prostate cancer when he went to the hospital and came across this situation there. Yes, that's it. So then we decided that this is something very crucial that we thought by highlighting that could help us get the issue resolved. Not immediately perhaps, but after a certain period of time. So we would like to seek your help with your influence and indulgence in this situation to help us push for this building, which was started 43 years ago, to be completed. That's one. I mean, that is in the long term that we want this building to be completed, but maybe in the short and medium term, how do we can reduce the death of babies, like at least 4 babies a day, sometimes 10, and also reduce the death of mothers during childbirth. So something that we would like you to have a copy and.
Thank you for presenting this video to me today. I have seen a little bit of it on television, but not very much. And I must say it was rather touching to see what is going on in this particular, Kumasi, Kofuanochi Hospital. I cannot understand how a building has been going on or being built for the last 44 years. And I definitely would look into it and see what I can do. I'm a woman, like these women who go through this. And I don't think in this day and age this should be happening to any woman in the world. And so thank you very much for this presentation. I'll come back to you after I've watched it fully and to think through with other people what we can do to help as soon as possible.
So as our First Lady has said, she's going to look into how to help resolve this matter in the shortest possible time, and we're all going to support her efforts towards it. And thank you for your efforts at Joy as well. We appreciate it.
I've got Reverend Dr. Opinifimpon on the telephone lines right now, but the Health Minister, Kweku Adjumamanu, has been speaking about this. He said that they're going to get the project finished. So has other politicians. Now here are bits and pieces of what General Secretary of the NDC, Asiedun Ketia, and Professor Kosa of the CPP have been saying about the campaign Next to Die.
Tell Nanando that life in government is about prioritization. So if he thinks that payment of nurses' allowance is much more important than completing the Kofuanochi children's ward, then that is his problem. The money that he will be deploying into paying nurses' allowances, it could have completed that. And that's why we are saying that, look, if we say that it is not in the interest of the nation to do A, B, C, it doesn't mean that when you stop doing everything and you apply the money, you will not be able to achieve that. But as to whether what you are going to do will be in the best interest of the nation, it's something as a leader you should be considering. So put all the nurses' allowances to go and complete that one, if they think it is more important. If not, then they are telling the whole nation that the children should continue dying, and then you will be paying nurses in training.
And if you take Ashanti region, from the north, you're coming through to Ejura and approaching Kumasi from Ejura Mampong. You come from the south, you are either coming through, entering through Obuasi, the Adansi end, or you're coming through the Asante Achim end, or you're coming through the Ofinso end. All those places do not necessarily converge in Kumasi. Facilities in all these areas can mitigate all the problems and not at such huge cost. We've spent so much on Komfo and it appears as if Komfo is not able to deliver because somehow we're not able to conclude.
Call that sounds of politicians there. I've got Reverend Dr. Kwabna Opuni-Frimpong. He's the General Secretary of the Christian Council on the telephone line. Thank you very much, sir, for holding and for your time here on The Pulse.
Kitty, thank you. And let me say good afternoon to your colleagues and your cherished listeners.
Thank you. So I believe that you followed this documentary. Earlier on, my colleague Seth Kwame Boateng was telling me how well the Christian Council, I mean, you, of course, have followed this campaign and the documentary. What should we expect from the Christian Council?
Yes, Kitty, let me first congratulate Multimedia, your team, and Kwame, and everybody who allows themselves for these unheard voices to be heard at the moment. The number of Ghanaian mothers and fathers who have gone through this trauma of losing their babies. Yes, I've followed the Nurse to Die program, and yesterday your team that moved to Kumasi, and I listened to Dr. Palu and Dr. Pantru and all the conversations we have followed. And for us to lose 4 children, in fact, when Mama Z and the others asked Dr. Pantru so today, have you been to the hospital and how many babies? The average is 4. Yeah. And for us as a country to hear this story is very painful, very uncomfortable. And yes, we are talking about the estimated figure you've given, about $70 million. But if we are talking about the future of Ghana and Ghanaian children, then it seems one of us want to not only congratulate you, but identify with the campaign that we need to get Ghanaian women, mothers, and their children from the floor and let Ghanaian mothers and children be where they belong to. We will want to identify with the campaign and call upon all our members, individuals, and collectively congregations to identify ourselves with the campaign, not only raising voices, but practically supporting the agenda. Of course, we are into health delivery. At the moment, the only referral hospital in Upper Princeton is only Presbyterian Hospital at Boko. But despite all that we are doing, this Komfo issue is an issue that deserves our attention. And we pray and hope that all those who are listening to the conversation will come on board for us to answer this question that is confronting all of us.
If you were to meet the president, for instance, and you were to give him a certain advice about this particular issue, sir, what would you tell him in very few words?
As long as we are dealing with life, Ghanaian mothers and children, it should not continue. What we are witnessing, mothers on the floor, and babies on the floor of hospital Komfo, maybe at the other hospitals that now we don't know, and Ghanaian babies that must be in this circumstances, how many cost and children. So I will wish the president and his team will have their priorities right. However, what we have witnessed at Komfo deserves immediate attention. Please.
Immediate attention. Before I let you go, sir, we've heard from some of the politicians, I will say. In fact, the Minister of Health said that, well, this is up to, the problem it really is up to inefficiency, lack of money, etc. And we've heard also from the NDC's General Secretary saying that, well, the government has promised to restore nurses' allowances. If you do want to do that, how about putting all that money together and then finishing this block? Professor Akosa has also been speaking about it. Are you impressed with the response that these politicians have given so far? Of course, we've had the First Lady speak about it as well. What's your impression?
You see, there have been several calls that, if possible, health, education, and maybe security must be taken out from the political game and then have neutral bodies that are non-partisan. This is not the time for anybody to score political points. This is not the time. If the 4 children who die averagely in a day affect any of our political leaders and our politicians, maybe their choice of words and participation in this conversation will be different. So let us see this issue from the perspective of those mothers and fathers, those whose children are the 4 children who die averagely in the day. And you realize that this is not the time to talk about campaign issues, and this is not the time to score points and push blame. This is a problem that confronts us. And let us see the parents who are losing the average 4 children death a day. And if you are one of them, then you will know that we need to get this problem behind us. So, yes, our politicians will always want to call for the numbers and want to be sure that society is on their side. But I think we can't play political game with what we have witnessed from the Next to Die video. We can't play a political game with it. And so everybody must be on board. Sometimes this is some of the issues that our politicians must just take away their political colors and let us see national interest overriding party, whatever, and then say all of us need to solve this problem. Who did what, who did not do what, should not be the issue. Who is next to die? And if that child happens to be your child, we must just move faster and save the next child who must die. That child must be protected.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Opuni Frimpong. There he is, General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana. He says that we must not politicize this issue and the next child should be saved and not die. That is on the back of our campaign here at Multimedia to ensure that mothers do not lose their lives, neither do the children. Let's move on to, whilst we're talking about politicians, do a bit of politics, if you like, governance. Well, President Akufo-Addo has been leading in the mounting defense of his government's choice for historically the biggest ministerial team, even as the economy is set to be shrinking. He's been granting an interview to the Daily Graphic as well as the Ghana Television, which will be aired on Ghana Television later today. But here are bits and pieces of his quotations that we put together for you.
He has a bold and audacious program, and nobody would deny that this is the most ambitious program for national transformation.
Then listen to me.
has the biggest numbers in view of the swollen challenges. These are the background and the circumstances that were facing my government and the people of Ghana. Hence, they need a new paradigm shift to solve the problems. We have a problem, and what is the best way? It is better to have men and women capable of serving the nation's interests and to work to grow the economy. If I succeed, you will soon find out that the brouhaha is nothing compared to the success. I put before the good people of Ghana the most ambitious programs of social progress. Again, our parliamentary majority has brought a host of expectations. Already, the signs are there that despite the challenges, we are putting our house in order to deal with the issues. We are talking about a country with 74% GDP to debt ratio, a 2.4 billion cedis debt overhang in the energy sector, persistent decline in growth rate, lowest rate of 2.6% growth in the agri sector, over the past 20 years, widespread unemployment, the major issue of corruption, and the persistent leakage of revenue in our system. This is the background to my coming into office. It is the reason I am in office because these are the same circumstances facing the people of Ghana that persuaded them to vote for a change. When we put all of the circumstances together, my assessment is that we need to really put all hands on deck. We need the cooperation of my party and my country that will allow me to deal with all these issues, and already the signs are there. This government, in spite of these huge challenges, has begun to put some order in the circumstances of our country. Those who think they are going to rip off the nation will be very disappointed.
That is President Akufo-Addo's bits and pieces of his interview granted the Daily Graphic and, of course, the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, which will be aired later. But we just put together bits and pieces of what he's been saying, what you are expected to hear if that broadcast is put out there. Well, his spokesperson, Mustapha Hameed, has been speaking because the criticism was mounting about why the president needed 110 ministers to man his government. He's defended it, and, of course, Mustapha Hameed has been explaining why and what role these deputy ministers will be playing. He spoke to Kojo Yangson earlier on the Super Morning Show.
He has a bold and audacious program, and nobody would deny that this is the most ambitious program for national transformation any president in our fourth Republican history has presented to the people of Ghana. And therefore, he says that he needs a vast array of experience to be able to execute that program. That is the principal reason. But when you come on radio, I can't just say that this is it and go off, because you will ask me consequential questions. And one of those consequential questions was that, why does he need political expertise to fix the problem when the civil service structure alone is enough? And that's how the civil service matter came about.
Okay, now, at your ministry, for example, there will be 3 deputies.
Yes.
Can you talk us through their specific duties? What will each of them be doing, necessitating the need for 3 of them?
Well, first of all, one person will be responsible for research and policy. Okay? Government information is not, if you want, limited to just taking government information and putting it out. It has to be backed by loads of research. And therefore, you need a minister who is collecting all the research that there is that one can gather. If you go to the Upper East alone, for example, and then you want to be talking about, for example, the revival of our cultural heritages in the Upper East region, there are loads of archival material, historical material, that you need to be able to inform that revival. You need somebody who is dedicated to coordinating that research and policy process. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I just told you about the agencies under the ministry and the kind of rot and neglect that has, if you want, befallen those agencies over the years. It needs dedication, it needs effort to be able to, if you want to revive.
Right, okay. Now, there are other issues that we've been curious about. For example, is there some research perhaps that suggests that if you have a larger government, it would it would then give you a better chance of solving these challenges that you've highlighted? Is there an example of a larger government somewhere in the world that has, by virtue of being bigger, achieved more?
The duty of a leader, Kojo, is not simply to copy models and try to impose them in his own circumstances. Every circumstance, every period, every epoch in history determines the kinds of solutions and structures that should be applied to resolving the solutions and the problems of those times. The challenges that we faced as a country in 2000 were not the same set of challenges that we faced in 2009, and certainly not the type of challenges that confront us today.
Mustapha Hameed speaks for President Akufo-Addo. One thing they're saying, the bigger, the better, and that we for bigger problems that require a bigger team to deal with this. This is The Pulse with me, Gifty Andopia.